You are listening to Thunderbolt Sports Talk. Here are your hosts, Charlie Adams and Timothy Yee.
Welcome to episode 15 of Thunderbolt Sports Talk, and for the final time, we are bringing you this podcast live from the green room right off Mr. LaBanca's room. Tim, it's been a journey, and it's winding down here. Our last official day as seniors at Cranston East, and we're recording this intro for an episode that's going to be a little different from most of our episodes and probably take a couple more days than our episodes too.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty long one, I'd assume. Going to be one of the last times we're here, not only in Mr. LaBanca's green room. Maybe this will be the last time, but maybe the last time we'll ever be here at Eastwood, although that is not true because we have graduation rehearsal. But, it's going to be sad to say goodbye to the school that has been with us all these years. And, it's going to be sad to say goodbye to the podcast, and it's going to be sad to say goodbye to TSM.
Well, we're bringing you this final episode in a bit of a different format than we've ever done across all previous episodes, and we're going to go around the school and get some interviews from some teachers, some students even, and just really kind of document some conversations with some great people in our final episode, The Last Dance for Thunderbolt Sports Talk, and should be a good one, should be an interesting episode, and probably a little laid off on the sports part of the show, but for the final episode, we just wanted to really hammer home and have something to look back on where we can reflect on other influences for us at Cranston East and good conversations to keep heading into the future. So Cranston East is enjoying a playoff run here in some of their sports. Spring has been a very successful season for Cranston East, at least in comparison to the fall and winter. And since we're not going to give you much of a sports update, you're always welcome to follow us on Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter, at TB Sports Media, to keep up with all the Cranston East sports results. That's your home for it, and you should be able to keep up with all the results and keep up with a returning award that we handed out last year that's being rolled out right now, Tim.
Yeah, currently we're rolling out the team MVPs. Yesterday we did the fall team MVPs. You can find the article on that on tbsportsmedia.com, and today will be the reveal of our winner sports team MVPs. Should be an interesting list. We hope you like it. We hope you enjoy the nominations, and hopefully you guys enjoy who we selected.
So we'll be back with you in just a few moments for our first interview of the day, and a long day of interviews and a hopeful long episode, a hopeful good episode when we return. Welcome back to Thunderbolt Sports Talk, and we're here with our first guest of the day, Mr. Smith, our ELA teacher, Thunderbolt Sports Talk fanatic, and a common topic on almost every program. Welcome, finally, to Thunderbolt Sports Talk.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a long year, and we're excited that on the last day of school you were able to join us for our final episode. And let's just start off. How much are you going to miss Thunderbolt Sports Talk now that we're in our final show?
Well, hopefully you guys are passing the torch on to someone next year, because it's been great. I unfortunately don't get out to many of the sporting events. I have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old. I coach them every single day, so it's disappointing that I can't make it to any of the events that I would like to. So keeping up with you guys and keeping me informed has been awesome.
I mean, we're glad that you listen to the podcast and that you appreciate our sports recap. By the way, baseball took a 4-3 loss versus North Kingstown. They what was the lead again, Chaz?
They had a 3-0 lead into the top of the 7th before blowing it, and it was a rough one.
Yeah, pretty tough one.
I saw that news on your Twitter account. I went searching for the score last night and was able to keep up. So, again, much appreciated. It's good work you fellas are doing.
Yeah, well, that was actually Mr. Simone that was doing all the heavy lifting on the Twitter. I mean, the X formerly known as Twitter.
It's
But-
always Twitter.
Yeah, always Twitter. But for
I'm old, so it's always going to be
journalistic reasons, we have to appeal to modern day standards, even if that includes naming something that we don't want to name a name.
Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I will admit it's a big help to keep me tuning in that I'm a segment of the show every year, every episode. I'm nervous about next year if this continues, if I'll continue to be a part of the podcast.
yeah.
Have you been able to pick up any maybe nuggets of information from our commentary on your class?
Yeah, I've picked up a few behind the scenes jokes, I think, and
We saved a deadline one time. We got a deadline pushed. That was big.
Yep, that was useful. It's always good to hear. I guess I'll say you guys are a little more unscripted on the podcast, and a little bit less teacher-student relationship when you comment on the class. So it's good to hear the reality of what's happening in my class.
Of course, all the highlights and lowlights. I'm sure you may know Chaz. Some cheats and non-cheats. I'm not saying it's you, but
Me neither.
It's always an interesting year
yeah.
working with AP from start to finish,
Mm-hmm.
peaks and valleys.
Yeah. So, how does it feel that you're able to connect with your students through that? I know I know you said a couple of stories about your time in high school and some shenanigans you and the Smith Mafia were up to. How does it feel to be relatable?
Well, that's my primary goal when I'm doing this. I mean, like all of us, we go through high school one time. I feel like I did all right. And now that I've been teaching 19 years, I've seen a lot of seniors go through, seen a lot of tricks, had a lot of fun. And I'm here to try and help my students get better, know the reality of the situation, and hopefully choose their path carefully.
Was this the trickiest year you've ever been a part of? Or is that hard to say?
It's hard to say. Certainly, AI has posed some new challenges, but the teachers have some tricks too with AI to help us out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I've been okay. You guys might have a different version of the story. Might have cheated on every single assignment, but I think I've been all right, or at least I've been good enough at keeping fear high to straighten some people out.
We often talk about what's going on in the ELA class, but we don't often mention the students in the ELA class, and I want your opinion. Just who has the worst sports take in our AP English 12 class? Because there's plenty of them who just make themselves sound like absolute idiots every day. And I know you catch glimpses of it, but do you have any take on that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of sports fans. I think almost all of Thunderbolt Sports Media is in our class. But unfortunately, there are no contenders. Tim takes the title. The Miami Heat, in and of itself, is enough to be the worst take in Cranston East. The Diamondbacks fandom, another massive strike against him. And the Celtics slander is just unbelievable in the face of them continuing to dominate. So it's just he's constantly fighting an uphill battle, and we're all just standing at the top looking down saying, tough.
Well, I promised yesterday that I would shut up the rest of this NBA postseason, so I'm not going to respond to that in any way, means, or hows, but all I'm going to say is that I highly disagree, Mr. Smith. I think my takes are immaculate. I think my takes are, in the end, are going to be so true and so right. I'm going to come back to this school and just shove it up your face. And,
okay. Yeah. Well, I hope that works out for you, and as soon as they get rid of Jimmy Butler, maybe they can make those moves.
Now you can make another big-time off-season acquisition coming up soon, too. Donovan Mitchell's available, or at least it seems that way, and there's a lot of Kyrie Irving fans in our class as well. And you see the Mavericks right now, upon recording this, in the Western Conference Finals. Series is 3-1 after Ant-Man got the big win yesterday. Are the Mavericks making it to the NBA Finals, and do they stand a chance against the Boston Celtics this season?
I think the Mavs are going to finish it. I'm not sure that they're going to win the next game. I feel like the Wolves might grab another one. But against the Celtics, we got 8 days, I think, before the first game. And Porzingis should be back. The fact that they've been rolling without him, and they're a totally different team with Porzingis. So if he's back, that'll help combat some of the size the Mavs have. And the way the Jays are playing right now, that's going to be tough.
Now, do you listen to any Boston sports radio or any of those that tend to be Boston's biggest haters? You know, Maz and all of them just think this is going to be an easy run for the Celtics. People think the West is stacking up nicely, though. We'll see when we get there. But do you pay attention to any of the Boston sports radio on the ride home, maybe?
I generally avoid Boston Sports Talk Media. I've been on it. I was on it for a long time throughout college and probably a good 10, 15 years listening to it, and I just got sick of the negativity. So I catch all their horrific takes on social media, you know, the worst of the worst. Maz especially saying that they haven't been tested. This championship won't be worth anything. That's absolutely ridiculous. So I catch up on that stuff, but generally I lean to podcasts that are positive and for my team. They have the same rooting interests as my team, so that's generally where I lean, because I don't want to listen to sports talk radio telling me how bad my favorite team is all the time.
I mean, maybe the way you guys are describing, maybe I should start my own Boston talk show.
Well, you haven't been too positive about Boston sports.
Yeah, I mean, that negativity sells. I mean, if you look at Felger, he has nothing good to say ever, and he's a star for it. So you would do great if you don't like anything Boston, and you have no good takes, just attacks.
Whoa.
So it would work out perfectly for you. You'd probably be right up there.
Whoa.
Well, you know, the last thing that I have to say or ask is, you know, Tim Yeen is in his final day as student council president after a tumultuous reign and a bunch of questionable decision makings from the outside. You know, he's the student council, but his final act as a student council president was Teacher Appreciation Week. So what are your opinions on Tim Yeen's reign as student council president?
That has been one of my favorite subplots of the Thunderbolt Sports Media podcast this year, was the slights and the banter about your performance as president. I have really enjoyed that. The 3-day Fashion Week or Spirit Week, that was a good one. I enjoyed that whole segment, and the continuous wait for when it would reappear after the initial scheduling. Teacher Appreciation Week was nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So
I do have to say, you know, the preparation for Teacher Appreciation Week did create jobs for our student populace. Just saying. They had community service hours, so, you know, you're wrong, Chaz. You know, I actually did help the students a little bit by giving them job opportunities, just like I did with TSM and, you know, the Fans Only Sports Network. I'm a job creator, Chaz. No one has created jobs better than me.
Well, you have been working with a tight budget, or at least acting that way, since taking over. And how's the budget looking now that we're on the way out?
Looking healthy. A rebounding economy.
Next year we'll certainly take advantage of that and put it right back where it was, Tim. Any more questions, Tim?
You know, we left on a little bit of a cliffhanger in terms of our guy Macbeth on Friday. So I was wondering, Mr. Smith, if, you know, next period we will be ending this cliffhanger, or you know, you'll be telling us right up and right now what happens to our man Macbeth.
Well, hopefully we're going to get a quick run through to finish things up real quick. I signed you all up for the hip-hop assembly. I'd hate to be the bad guy and have you miss out on one last assembly, so we're scheduled for that. So hopefully we can sneak in the ending real quick. I hate to not take care of that information before you head off, but it'll be hopefully a good class and one last go-round.
Okay. Well, it has been a pleasure talking to you, Mr. Smith, right now. It has been a pleasure being in your AP Literature class. It has been a pleasure, just being, around you as a teacher. You're a fantastic person. As much as, it was my fault for that 70, I appreciate the honesty. So, any last words you want to say, Chaz?
Yeah, it's been a fun couple of years since taking over in freshman year, I think, for Miss Petrosnelli, and it's been a journey and
I don't remember
an
that.
exciting time. Well, you weren't in the class, so
I mean, it
I
was
don't think you
online.
would.
Avoiding.
But
like 11th grade English.
it's been a great time. Thank you for joining us on Thunderbolt Sports Talk and tuning in to our episodes. One of the listeners and that tunes in every week along with a couple other folks, enjoying the titles that sneak by and enjoying the little nuggets we put in there just to test exactly what level of administration are watching and listening to our program. And it seems like a low level because we're getting away with a lot of stuff here. But thank you anyways for tuning in and supporting us.
Like I said in the beginning, it's been great. I hope the podcast keeps rolling and the torch is passed to some students who try and reach your level. But what you guys do for the school and broadcasting all the games, you guys have made a great impact on the community here and made sports accessible for everyone, no matter where they are. So it's an awesome program you guys have, and you've taken the next step with it, and hopefully it keeps growing and building. And it's been awesome. Thanks for doing it.
All right, thank you. We'll be right back with our next guest here on Thunderbolt Sports Talk. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Thunderbolt Sports Talk. We're here with our next guest who's providing us this recording space here in the library and has provided us plenty of other time in the library to do our work and work on our independent study. The star librarian, Mrs. Blaze. And Tim, since you spend pretty much every second of your day here, you might as well start us off with the questions.
Yeah, not just star librarian, but librarian of the year here for our great state of Rhode Island, Mrs. Blaze. First and most importantly, how are you feeling?
How am I feeling? Well, it has been a really awesome couple of weeks. I was completely surprised by the email that I received stating that I had been named School Librarian of the Year. I had no idea that Ashley Burns, one of our English teachers, had nominated me. And so when I got the email, I was actually standing in my driveway waiting for a friend to come so that we could head up to Boston to go see a Red Sox game. And I was just looking at my phone. The email came in, and I was completely blown away. It was a huge surprise. And I felt very honored. Shocked, speechless, all those things. And since then, I just have processed all the feelings, and I feel very grateful that people seem to like what I do and feel that I'm helpful to students and to the faculty. And I feel honored to work in such a place that that we kind of all work together as a team, and just really happy about how the last couple of weeks have gone.
Yeah, I know you've had a lot of people come up to you and say your congrats. Everything you've been truly a fantastic librarian. I'm gonna miss seeing you every single day. For 2 to 3 periods a day.
I know you've been. I know. What are we gonna do, Tim? We're gonna have to put a plaque on that table, the Tim Yeen table.
I know, the Tim Yeen Memorial Table.
Yes, yeah, not memorial. You're still with us. So the Tim, in honor of Tim Yeen, all right?
Yeah.
And all his great accomplishments, and so much more to come.
Of course. You're not only nominated for that Librarian of the Year, but also a little bit kind of more local. The yearbook dedication. I know you found that out right during the assembly. Your family was there. And, you had a short speech because you're actually flabbergasted. You just found out right now. I'm just wondering, did you never catch on or anything? Did no one give you any hints?
No, I absolutely did not catch on at all. That was a complete surprise, and honestly, that yearbook dedication, I don't think anything can ever top that. That's the most meaningful honor that has ever been given to me. And I feel because it was chosen by students, and we're here because of the students. And so that truly just blew me away. And again, I felt very honored, very humbled, and and just so grateful again to work with such a great group of students and the faculty. But yeah, completely blew me away. I had no idea. In fact, Wilson had been in the library period 3 that day, and the dedication was taking place during period 4. And I actually said to Wilson, I said to him, "Are you excited for next period with the yearbook?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, usually I know in advance. Usually I hear through the grapevine who the dedication is. I said, but this year I haven't heard anything. And he just stayed. He kept his cool. He stayed right with his straight face and everything, and said, "Oh, yeah, it's been a big secret. It's a good one this year. I think you'll like it."
I think you most certainly did like it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And when Miss Ward started reading that this person grew up in Bristol and went to Franciscan University of Steubenville, I was like, there is nobody else who even has heard of the college I went to. So
Well,
yeah, that was a big surprise.
kept it pretty quiet around here despite just being tables away, and we're borrowing your office space to record here right now, and as we look around you can see all the decorations for different holidays and other things around the library. So what's your favorite holiday to decorate the library for?
Oh, it's gonna be for Christmas and the winter holidays. So that's probably what I have the most of. But I think my favorite holidays, 2, I would say, well, maybe even 3. My favorite holidays are St. Patrick's Day. Love Irish music, love everything to do with Ireland, love a good corned beef dinner. I actually met my husband because we both played Irish music in jam sessions, and that's how we met. My other favorite holiday, which you don't see any decorations, maybe I should get some. Groundhog Day, February 2nd, is a big day in my family's house. We have actually traveled out to Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania twice to go visit Punxsutawney Phil for Groundhog Day. So we've been there in the crowd twice, and we have plans to go next year as well because Groundhog Day falls on a weekend. And then, being a Bristol native, I have to love 4th of July. Have to. Bristol's got the best and oldest 4th of July celebration in the country. And so my parents still live in Bristol. We go every year to the parade. Obviously, we won't have any decorations for 4th of July in the library because it's in the summertime. Yeah. But I've only missed the Bristol parade twice in my life, and both times I was in Ireland. So those are my 3 favorites. But that didn't really answer your questions as far as what holiday do I like to decorate for. I guess pretty much Christmas. Yeah. I think we're up to like 5 Christmas trees for the library now. 5 little trees.
All right. Well, speaking of your husband, I know your husband is very, I'm not sure he has the same reputation as you, Ms. Blaze, but Professor Blaze, working at Bryan, related to a friend of TSM right now, Ben Chen. What can you say about him? And I know you also, have some fun activities about, his education at Bryan. So if you'd like to tell us about that.
So Brian Blaze and I have been married for 26 years. We have 3 children, and he is a professor in the science department at Bryant University. He does a lot of work with the brain, how individual neurons in the brain work, and that is what he focused on during his research getting his PhD at Brown University. And now he works a lot with artificial intelligence. He, every semester, or I think it's every year actually, he does a robotics demo in the at Bryant, which is very well attended. And he also, he's published a couple of books. He has one book that is about statistics, and he's got other publications, books and publications in journals. He is he's a truly very lucky person in that he absolutely loves his work. Loves his work and loves everything he does. So I don't think there are all that many people that can say they truly love their work. He absolutely loves every part of his work, and works on science and reads about science and works on his research year-round, at work, at home, like all the time. He's always reading something to do with science. He truly lives his work.
I heard a rumor sticking with the Blaze family. you're not the only Blaze librarian. I've heard that there's a long line of the Blaze dynasty just running libraries across the state.
That's really funny. You are correct. Yep. So I started working in libraries when I was 11 years old. That is when I first started getting paid as a summertime library. I don't know what library youth worker, I guess. I was first introduced to the libraries through my Girl Scout leader, who ran some arts and crafts classes in the library and at the public library in Bristol, Rogers Free Library in Bristol. And so, as a Girl Scout, I started working to help her with the arts and crafts classes as a volunteer. And then when I was 11, they started paying me. They would pay me $50 a summer out of the Friends of the Library Fund. Then when I turned 14, I actually got put on the payroll, and I would put books away and also work all summer long with the summer programs. And so I did that, and I worked in the Bristol Library until I was 22, and I also I was the person who computerized the Portsmouth Abbey High School Library. So I did that while I was going to URI for my library degree. And then I got hired in Cranston, and I've been in the school system now for 28 years. But you are correct that I have two sisters who I am the second out of 4 children. My oldest brother is a professor at a university in Korea. And then there's me, and then my next sister, Erica, she is in an administrative position. She's one of the top people in the library at Tufts University. And my youngest sister, Anne, is a librarian in Mattapoisett, Massachusetts, at the public library there. So we are, and they also, I believe they all worked at the Rogers Free Library too. I'd have to check on that. I think they did. But yes, we are a very library-minded family, and so it's kind of funny that we've all gone in that direction. But it all started with our involvement in the Bristol Rogers Free Library, the public library there.
Yeah. So this Librarian of the Year award is going to be shown off proudly by you at the Thanksgiving table when that time comes.
Probably not. No, we don't usually talk talking about the Dewey Decimal System is a good way to clear out a room. So probably not. No, my sisters have congratulated me, and then that's it. One thing though that I should have brought to show you guys is that I have framed in my house. I have a writing project from when I was in 2nd grade that has it says, "When I grow up, I will be a librarian. I like to read books." And then there's a picture that I drew with me with very large hands for some reason, very large hands with a bookcase behind me. And so that's framed in my house. And my mom gave me that. I think she had saved it, and I think she gave it to me when I started working here in Cranston.
Well, it seems like you've been focused on being a librarian for a while and certainly have succeeded and been an asset to us students here at Cranston East. We definitely learned a lot more about you in your time here on Thunderbolt Sports Talk. And if Tim doesn't have any questions,
Yeah.
I think it was a fun time to sit down and learn more. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, getting to know you all these, years. Starting freshman year virtually, and Miss Petrosinelli's English honors class, just getting introduced there. And then, sophomore, junior years, just coming into the library occasionally, through some English classes, some, history classes, and, this year particularly, we've been blessed with, with getting into here period 1 every other day, and
Yes,
especially me getting in here every day.
I know it doesn't seem right when you're not here.
I
It just
know.
seems like something's missing, something's
Yeah.
wrong.
So you're truly one of the most tremendous people here. I can honestly say about that. You've
Aw.
been so kind. You've been so sweet every day. You always have a smile. I'm so blessed to have you as our librarian, and
Thank
Yeah,
you
you-
for those words.
yeah, I'm also
thank
thankful
you.
for
Mhm.
you allowing me to vulture some of the faculty food during the events.
Of course. Yep.
I hugely appreciate that much. I don't know if Charlie's been able to
Well,
get that blessing.
I'm usually just sitting jealous, a couple doors down and
Oh,
245.
Oh yeah, yeah. Food is a big thing. I'm a foodie. I love food. I love having celebrations here in the library for any type of thing that we can think of. And if you're around during that time, I try try to include everybody.
Yeah.
That's something that just I believe in, is being inclusive in all types of things.
Yeah. That was the summer talk. I wish we had summer school, so I'd see what that 4th of July banquet is like.
Come visit us in Bristol. I'll be there. Yep.
But to bring it back to being serious, once again, Miss Blaze, thank you so much for everything you've done, not only for us here at Thunderbolt Sportsman and Thunderbolt Sports Talk, but for this entire school. You're greatly appreciated. I think that you really, really deserve, everything that's come your way, and I hope, the next couple years that you continue being a librarian is some of the most positive and, happy years of your life, Miss.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to be on Thunderbolt Sports Media. And I just want to thank all the students and faculty at Cranston Public Schools and at Cranston East for being so supportive of the library, and for being receptive and helpful. And I just appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Thank you again for joining us, Miss Blaze. We'll be back with our next guest here on Thunderbolt Sports Talk. Stick around. Welcome back to Thunderbolt Sports Talk, just seconds after a great interview with Mrs. Blaze, and it's been a couple hours for us in our final school day here at Cranston East, but we're joined by a fellow senior who's also enjoying his final school day, tennis team player, tennis team captain, and Eston Fowler, senior, band major, bunch of accomplishments, drum major, excuse me, and bunch of accomplishments, and we're happy to have him here on Thunderbolt Sports Talk.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. I appreciate all that. Thank you guys for having me. It's been a real honor.
Yeah, we just came back, last period from a wonderful, assembly hosted by Genesis Marion and featuring dancers from Afro Beats, hip-hop crew, even some guys from the class of 2001. Weston, can you get some post-assembly thoughts on that?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I enjoyed all the different groups. Definitely a lot of really good dancing going on.
A lot of
Charlie,
really good dancing.
What'd you guys think?
That was an enjoyable show. I think last year was as well, and this year it's kind of a little different, being the last day we're here seeing the assembly instead of just a time to get out of class, but it was a fun time once again. Valentino Gonzalez from the football team went up on stage, and they said all three of them won. Yeah. We all know who lost.
Yeah, but that first one had to be backed up a little bit.
Yeah.
But that was mainly due to I don't know how you can cook with that type of song selection. I'm not sure.
Well,
what even was the song?
The audio was a little low, but you got to just work with the cards you're dealt, and everyone else kind of were going after it, but yeah. Genesis, not Marion, lost that one. But all three won when it was all said and done, and
Genesis Marion was, in my personal opinion, I say Mr. Watts.
For sure.
Forgot about that part, yeah. There was a rap battle between Genesis and Mr. Watts, or Kilowatts, at least at that point in the assembly, and yeah.
And yeah, Kilowatts did definitely kill.
Swept the floor.
Definitely. Well, Eston, you're the tennis team captain, and you guys just took down Cranston West.
That's correct.
A big win over a rival, a close one, and your team's rolling, though. They're undefeated. And one loss.
Yeah.
One loss.
Yeah. You guys are still rolling, though.
Yes.
Playoffs roll on.
So we do have one undefeated player, Adrian Rosales. He has not lost a single match yet, so we are all very proud of him. We did take a devastating loss against North Smithfield during the midseason, and we were all very unhappy about that situation. However, in the finals, we expect to play them and expect to win.
Well, it was an undefeated North Smithfield team, and they took your but maybe some revenge in the playoffs. How many losses do you have on your season?
Personally, I have two. One against North Smithfield and one against Central, maybe? I forget the team, but...
Well, Cranston West you faced, and I understand your playing partner over a prior tournament was from Cranston West. Did you face off against him in that matchup?
So I played the number one for West, who's his name is Connor. He's currently the number one player in Division 2, and I got brutally swept by him. it was not a pleasant match. He is a very good player. I am definitely nowhere near his level, but overall, I was able to get a few games off of him, so
Yeah.
I think I had a relatively okay performance.
Who was the Falcon that you teamed up with to play doubles?
His name was Mason Harris. He plays second singles for West, and one of our other players, Jackson Sigler, he ended up playing Mason, and he got swept 8-0.
Oh, jeez. Well, Mason Harris is off to Nichols for tennis, and you're off to Western New England University
That's correct.
over in Springfield, Massachusetts. You're one of our earliest commits on the Cranston East decisions page.
Was he the first commit?
I don't believe so. The first commit was Emmett Billings. He was second,
Oh yeah,
Wow.
pharmaceuticals.
majoring in business management and marketing.
Oh really?
That is correct. Yeah, I'm looking
Oh,
forward.
Aston's? Oh, that's
No,
what he-
yeah. I'm majoring in that. What's Emmett doing?
He's in pharmacy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm doing business management and marketing, and I hope to get a 4+1 master MBA out of that.
All right. Well, I know. I want to bring back the conversation a little bit to that West thing yesterday.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You know, a very close one, 4-3. You guys ended
Yes.
up winning that, and we had some pictures of Coach Hockman.
Oh yeah,
know,
we
playing
love
tennis.
Coach Hockman.
Yeah, did he help you guys to the win with his performance?
So he ended up losing against the West coach, which was very devastating. We all were, I guess, just clowning on him after that. But you know, it's all right. It was a friendly match against the coaches. The West coach definitely took it a lot more serious than our coach. But you know, overall, everyone had a good time. It was just a scrimmage, obviously, but it was still
Yeah.
a good match.
Injury fund, got some funds in for our injured players, I assume.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Next thing up. I guess we'll talk about band a little bit, Aston. I mean,
Sure.
You were part of the, all the fall stuff, football.
Yep.
With band. And you guys had your signature performance being Bruno Mars.
Yes, yes. So our show, we had 4 pieces based around Bruno Mars, and all 4 of them were pretty fantastic. I enjoyed conducting 2 of them, whereas Jonathan, the other drum major, ended up conducting the first 2.
So will he be the leading conductor next year, you assume?
I don't know. Right now it's all up in the air. There's a lot of strong contenders. I think that he is a definite possibility, considering he already has a year of experience under his belt. But, there, again, like I said, there's a lot of strong contenders.
So the tennis team's going to face Burrville in their match tonight.
That's correct.
And
At 3:30 at West.
that's better than the last time you took Burrville on at the road. I know that game was called to darkness.
No. So first time we played them, we were up big time, and then it got called because it rained on us and only us for about 10 minutes, and the courts were soaked, and we could not bounce a ball without it dying. So we ended up going back another 45 minutes. Definitely not the most pleasurable bus trip out there, but it is what it is. And we ended up sweeping them 6-1.
Win is a win. And the Cranston East tennis team continues to do that. You're a senior here. What is some of your best moments at Cranston East as a student?
Oh boy. Let's see. Definitely being a part of all the programs that I'm a part of, whether it's outdoor marching band, indoor percussion, which by the way we did exceptionally well this year, or the tennis team, indoor track, you name it. All those groups just bring me a lot of joy to be a part of. A lot of camaraderie.
Yep.
In all of them.
It's a long trip to Dayton, Ohio for that.
Oh my lord.
How was Dayton?
Dayton was nothing and Dayton Arena, as you would expect it to be.
Well, how did the band kids all going to Ohio live up to the stereotype?
type of-
half and half. So you have half the band kids, which are band kids, and
Yep.
you have half the kids, which are tennis players.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Well, how many times was it mentioned that there was any skibbity happenings?
Shut up.
Oh my God, bro.
What? I know it had to come up.
So we have one 7th grader.
7th grader.
Dude,
Yeah.
7th grader?
Yeah, we have one 7th grader, and she has so much brain rot.
Huh.
And no offense to Bella, if you are listening, I love you. Amazing base 1 player. But like, yeah,
let's-
you're a 7th grader.
Let's
I don't know
continue.
what else to say.
Let's continue to talk on this brain rot action. I'm actually quite interested. I mean,
Absolutely.
Aston,
What's on brain?
are you fearing for our future kids and our generation due to these skibbities or whatnot's happening?
Oh boy, I think I'm hoping it's just a phase. That a little lump that we have to we as a society have to like climb over. But I don't know, man.
Well, I know you're not too much of a social media guy, but how much have you dipped into TikTok and all these keeping up with the current trends and current brain rot tactics?
So I do not actually have TikTok.
There you go.
And my Instagram reels consist of tennis and some cars.
Much better than me.
That's about all. That's about all it has.
Well, brain rot continues to rule the world.
What's on your reels, Chaz? I've been wondering.
Well, it's just sports and wrestling and whatever. So whatever.
Tim,
it
what's
is.
yours?
I prefer not to delve into that.
Wow.
I think
Yeah.
Tim has some.
It's stuff I send to my friends, but not the friends that are lesser friends than the friends I do have.
Wow. No one's gonna understand what you just said.
I was lost. I'm sorry.
It's something.
Eston, what's one thing at Cranston East that you wish you did during your 4 years?
One thing I wish I did, definitely try out for the soccer team. That was one goal of mine was to play soccer. I've always loved it. I've been playing it since I was very little. I took a pretty long break, but I wanted to get back into it. And, of course,
You got some good friends on that soccer team, too?
yeah, I got a few good friends. Braden Shaw.
Oh, yeah. By the way, yesterday, if you guys didn't know, there's a group of kids that included Braden Shaw, I think Gen Z, Ace, all that.
Yeah,
They were doing interviews,
sure.
quote. And, it was a cheap microphone, and it was also sprayed with fart spray. So I had the blessing to, unfortunately partake in that. So if
Wow.
any of you were harmed or affected, I guess never take any of these again. So,
Got it. Well,
but Eston, we did not spray your headset with fart spray. So
I would sure hope not, because that mic has been awfully close to my nose this whole time. But
I have a question real quick. I don't know if you know, but what's going on with the Parkview band since you guys have some middle schoolers in the Cranston East band? I know Mr. Hassan was our guy and he retired.
yep.
How's it going in Parkview, if you have any knowledge of what's going on down there or how it's affecting the Cranston East band numbers?
I haven't really had any direct connections with the middle school bands. However, I do know that this past year we had 1 or 2 Parkview freshmen and about 7 or 8 Bain freshmen coming from band. So I don't know what that says about.
Oh, would you look at that? That's the first time that's ever happened on the podcast.
yeah,
Lunch bell ringing during recording.
you don't have an exam, right? For comp sci?
No, this is the latest we've ever recorded a podcast, so maybe a little more energy at this point, since we usually record in period 1, but Eston, you can continue.
Yeah. So I have no clue what's going on with the band recruitment. Mr. Arsenal is projecting to have about 60 to 70 members within the next 4 to 5 years. And for the band's sake, I do hope that happens, because we all know that a smaller band is not in our case, because when we heard West, that was quite
it's not about the size; it's how you use it.
exactly,
Really?
Tim.
Well,
Tim, what would you know about that?
I don't know, just a common saying I've heard throughout my life.
Great.
Awesome.
I'm not sure why you guys are.
You know,
Well, I don't know why you guys are, really looking at me like that.
Thunderbolt Sports haven't been the best when it comes to helping the Cranston East band get to play some good music at football games, and I mean they haven't been the best to Thunderbolt Sports Media being able to produce our best content, which only happens when we win. I mean we do pretty good for the losses, but the best of the best is when we're winning games, and we didn't hear "Hey Baby" after a win once, I believe, in our 4 years here.
No, because I don't think we won once in our 4 years.
The
here.
one game we did win, it was very cold out, and there was no band to be seen on that one. But we did get to hear "Hey
Was that
Baby"
one
a couple
rescheduled,
times.
the Shea one?
It was the Shea Senior Night.
Yeah,
there was no band, but
Was it rescheduled previously, or?
it could have been.
Well, I think it was homecoming that was.
Yeah,
almost.
Homecoming was 100% rescheduled, or maybe the parade was.
Yeah, the parade was canceled, and I think homecoming
Jesus.
had to be done in the rain, or like a drizzle.
Yeah.
So
Well, I got one more question for you, Eston. What is your favorite song to play as
Oh.
part of the band?
Oh, as the band?
Yep.
Definite. It's got to be "Hey Baby."
It's a classic.
I know you were just talking about it, but I get one of the lead melodies on that for half the song. And it's such a vibey song
Yeah.
that I love playing it.
Oh, well, I at one point knew how to play "Hey Baby," at least to some extent, on the saxophone before I got up out of band after whatever the COVID year online band was.
and then you switched to here.
Certainly not. Yeah, that's true. Certainly not the full band experience, but
No, that experience was not the.
it was something.
For sure.
All the Zoom calls in freshman year. Tim, do you have anything else you want to ask Eston before we move on here?
You know what? I don't know. All I want to say right now is, for me to you, Eston, you've been a fantastic friend. You've been a leader in this school, Eston. Everything you've done, the band, tennis, indoor percussion, you've led and you've done a tremendous job in. And I just want to say, thank you for being a great friend and thank you for
Yeah, of
being a great
course.
leader. I hope you have the best of times in college. If you're going to continue tennis, I hope your tennis career keeps on rolling on successfully. And
Thank you.
Hopefully, we get to meet again after we all graduate.
Thank you. Those are some very kind words, Tim. I greatly appreciate you, and I'm super lucky to have you as a friend too. I feel very strongly towards you, and I appreciate everything that you've done for me and our tennis team. And I wish you the best in your broadcasting career.
Thank you so much.
Well, have a great day, Eston. Thank you again for
Thank
joining
you guys
us.
for having me.
It was a third interview in a long episode to cap off Thunderbolt Sports Talk, which is not done yet. We'll be back shortly with another interview here. Stick around. Welcome back to Thunderbolt Sports Talk, where we're joined by another fellow athlete, another top athlete, all-state, first-team all-stater. Welcome to the program, once again, friend of the program now, Miles Darconti.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Excited to answer some questions.
Yeah, we're excited for you to be here in person, compared to our February, vacation episode, which you can watch on Thunderbolt Sports Talk or YouTube, better YouTube.
Yep.
So Miles, how have you been today? First of all,
I've been great.
all right, that's
Excited
awesome.
for the end of school. It's very
Yeah, and with the end of school comes, TSM's most prestigious, honor, which is, Athlete of the Year. And, Miles, I'm proud to, have you nominated as the team MVP for the esports squad. So,
I'm honored to be.
congratulations.
Thank
What does this mean to, you personally, or however you want to take it?
It really means to me. It shows how much effort and I've put into the season and how it's really proved something. Proved that I can do it and proved that what I did mattered. Everything I did during the season, it ended up meaning something.
Yeah, we didn't have a team MVP last year for esports, but this year, we just couldn't ignore your efforts here, and so we decided to name one. You for Mario Kart, you were very elite at it, and we experienced it personally, me and Chaz. If you want to recap that.
Well, yeah, we faced off in our February Season 1 finale, and now you're back for the Season 2 finale, but the Mario Kart team fell short in the playoffs over at New England Tech. What was that experience like?
So it was an unfortunate experience as we hadn't lost in the regular season, so we didn't really know what losing felt like. So when we lost the first set and we had to come back, we hadn't really experienced it, so we didn't know how to make a good comeback. So we ended up falling short. But the team we lost to did win the whole thing. So props to them.
Another tough matchup there. And in the world of Super Smash Bros., how did you feel you performed in as a team?
I feel like we performed well. I mean, I played very well, but it wasn't as good as it was last season, which was unfortunate. But overall, the team played well. I was excited with how everyone was performing, and I'm excited for next year.
And speaking of next year, what's this realm of esports going to look like in the Rhode Island Interscholastic League? I know they're considering adding different games and different types of competition.
Well, I'm not too sure what Rhode Island's looking like, but I know in the fall I'll be playing Smash Bros, and in the winter I'll be playing Mario Kart. We'll see if there are any more games I'll decide to join and take a crack at.
And, Ari Darconti, your brother, and now a proud Catamount, I believe, is the mascot for
Yeah.
University of Vermont. And how is it this season just not having Ari Darconti by your side?
Well, it's definitely a lot calmer, have less probably competition, but I think the team we built this year has exceeded my expectations, exceeded what I built last year with Ari.
Ari was very good friend of the program. Thursday
Friend
sports
of Ketchup.
announcer. Friend of the what?
Friend of Ketchup.
Friend of Ketchup. Okay. If there was any game that you wanted or you want to add to the Interscholastic League, it can be literally anything. Miles, what
Out of all the games, I think I'd like to add Madden into the game. I mean, I've been playing Madden since I was 5 or younger, so I think it would be nice to get a little sports game in there.
That'll definitely attract some more folks to esports as well. I know
Yeah.
they were teasing some NBA 2K this year. I believe it was played just not as a actual competitive league.
Yeah.
And I know my experience with Madden, especially against my co-host Tim Yeen, has been pretty successful.
Whoa.
It's documented right there in the same
documented,
episode.
but not but off the record,
Yeah, well, when it matters most, Tim Yeen crumbled. And if there was a Madden esports team, I'd probably have to hold off because that game costs
tough.
you a lot of money. And not just talking about Madden Ultimate Team, I'm talking about controllers going through walls with the
I feel like that's more
entire game.
I feel like that's just explaining your problem.
All right, we don't need to. Let's get into. You talked about Madden, but are you excited for EA College Football coming out?
I am. I mean, I've been a football fan for a while, so getting an actual good college game, one from EA, it's making me very excited.
Yeah, the great news about EA College Football is that it will be nothing like Madden. They make sure to tell you every second that this game will not be like Madden because they know how terrible Madden is. But I'm going to have to create URI on my own. Tim, you're going to have to create Rick if you want to play
I don't
as your
think
own
Rick
school.
even has a football team.
Nah, they have to.
No.
No football
I don't think. I never heard of a football team. I've never heard of the Anchor. I know Brian has a football team. Wu has a football team. URI definitely has a football team. I'm not sure about Rick. They have soccer. They have tennis. Probably have golf. Like everything but football, I guess.
Well, maybe you can still create your own, Tim.
Yeah.
And I got one more question for you, Miles, as you join us here. What is the best item that you can get at the Edgewood Cheese Shop?
At the Edgewood Cheese Shop, that's an interesting one. Well, for cheeses, one of my favorite cheeses is the Beamster XO. It's sharp cheddar.
There you go.
It's very good. But my overall favorite food there, they have these Torres chips. There's a black truffle chip, and I eat about 2 or 3 of those bags a week. So I absolutely adore them.
Okay, I might have to try that. The black truffle chips.
I lied. I have one more question. What is the signature grilled cheese named after you? What's it entail?
Well, signature grilled cheese. It was very simple because when the cheese shop was created, I was pretty young. But it was 2 pieces of panini bread, They were toasted, and you put some cave-aged cheddar, which is nice aged cheddar. It's pretty basic, but very good. Put it in between, and then it's just a simple grilled cheese. Don't need to make anything too complicated.
Well, if only I could probably go down there and get some smoked Gouda, my cheese of choice if I picked it out. Edgewood Cheese Shop on Broad Street. Tim, have you ever experienced the Edgewood Cheese Shop?
I actually have, I guess so. At the Bolts Bazaar.
There's another bell as we record through lunch period here at Cranston East.
The Bolts Bazaar took a little bit of the free samples from Mrs. Darconti. At Ari's grad party, I took a little bit of cheese there. And I enjoyed it very much. I enjoyed all the flavors. I think you brought some cheese in one day, as well.
That's
so
true.
I enjoyed it very much. I think I enjoyed the. I don't know how you describe it. More like, I was like kind of like the blue cheese. How would you describe like? I don't
Like
know.
a soft cheese?
Soft,
like-
kind of. I don't know. It just had like a funky
Like a-
type taste.
Probably like a blue.
Yeah, like that. I did particularly enjoyed that. Enjoyed that flavor. I love the cheese shop, and I think whenever I go by the air, I think I'm gonna buy some cheese now.
That's great. I'll be excited to see you there.
Yeah. If we don't have anything else to say, Miles, once again, thank you for joining us. You've not only been a good friend to the program, you've also been a great friend to me. I've always enjoyed the conversations with you. The what's ups in the hallways. It was a pleasure getting to know you. Pleasure, getting to know the Darconti family and as a whole. And hopefully we meet again. Maybe Christmas time when the college reverse day thing happens. And it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Tim. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to know both of you as good friends. It's been a wonder playing for esports and being here, knowing both of you.
Well, that makes Miles the only second repeat guest on Thunderbolt Sports Talk. Thank you again for joining us after being here for the Season 1 finale, and now you're here for our Season 2 finale as well. Have a great rest of your day and a senior year coming up, Miles, and hopefully the esports team continues their dominance.
Thank you.
Stick around for one more guest or a couple more as we continue on our biggest episode yet here for our Season 2 finale. Welcome back to Thunderbolt Sports Talk, and we're here with our second to last guest in our season finale, an administrator here at Cranston East, and one of the most beloved ones in that, Assistant Principal Mr. DePalma. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us here.
Oh, thank you to Bolt Sports Media. It's a pleasure. You guys do a phenomenal job, and it's an honor to be here.
It's an honor to have you here on the show as well, Mr. DePalma. All the work you've done this year, your time as an assistant principal at East has been amazing and profound, and we are so thankful that, you're able to join us here today.
Thank you.
So, I guess the first question I have to ask you was, in the mornings we talk NBA a little bit, and as you know, last night the Wolves took Game 4 over the Mavs last night. So overall in the NBA, how do you see that turning out? The Celtics already made the finals. The Mavs are either going to get it in 5, 6, 7, or maybe a complete upset where the Wolves come out on top. What are you seeing so far in terms of the finals?
Well, obviously the Celtics are in. I'm a little concerned about the Celtics, as are some Celtic fans. I am a Celtic fan. Because it seems sometimes to me they lose their focus. Like, for example, the other night's game, they won and everybody is ecstatic that they won. For me, I see they go down the court. There's, I think, 15 seconds left. If they get a 2-point shot in, the game's over. They end up putting up a off-balance 3-point shot. And luckily, the point guard gets the rebound over a guy that was much bigger than him. So Holiday, for me, saved that game. The first game, Brown saved the game to put it into overtime. And I think when you get to the finals, it's just going to be tough to beat any team because you can't have any kind of mental mistakes for me, and that's what I see with them. They make mental mistakes. To not have a play ready to go to get a 2-pointer is, just surprising. Now, in terms of if I think the Mavs are going to win, I would like the Mavs to win because I like that team a little better because I love Kyrie. I think he's phenomenal. He's fun to watch. And Luka too, but there's a piece of me that thinks it's a little selfish. Like I want the Mavs to win because I think, I could be wrong, but I think the Celtics match up a little better with the Mavs. And I think the Wolves can beat anybody at any given moment. I would not be shocked if they win the next 3 straight games. Now that they're down 3-1 and they've gotten that first win. They're so good.
Yeah, do you believe in what a lot of Boston sports media members are saying about the Celtics' journey to the finals, that it's been almost too easy, that it's one of the easiest runs to the finals that anyone's ever had?
Well, I don't believe that, because I think people naturally say that because they beat Miami and Jimmy Butler's hurt. They get by the Cavs and Donovan Mitchell's hurt. They get by the Pacers and the point guard Halliburton is hurt. So I think it's, I don't know. I mean, I think that is plausible. Like I first heard that take from Jim Shorts last week, and Shorts' answer to that was, we're missing Porzingis. So, I respect the teams because I think every team took it to them with the next guy that they had filling in. And sometimes I think that gives you a lot more energy as a player. So, like I used to play, and all of a sudden somebody wouldn't be playing that you're used to playing with, so it kind of opens up new possibilities of how you play. And I think that happened to the teams that they were able to beat. But I don't necessarily think any of those games were so easy for them. Especially, for example, the Pacers series. Now, the team that I really fell in love with this year really was the Knicks. I wanted the Knicks to beat the Pacers. I wanted the Knicks to beat the Celtics. And I wanted the Knicks to go all the way. Because that team, to me, had so much heart, so much grit. And I loved watching them. Their games were just phenomenal to see the back and forth at the end of the game. But ultimately, I think they fell short because of the injuries. So injuries are important. So, yeah, I mean, that clearly, I think, made a difference to those teams not having their best players there. But every team they played really took it to the Celtics, and the Celtics, I think, had to play hard to get by those teams.
Yeah, and for viewers or listeners that aren't familiar with you, could you go down how you got here to be Cranston East assistant principal?
Yeah, I was put here. I was principal at Gladstone, and then I came here 2 years ago. So, yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so in your years as an educator and an administrator, starting from when you first started to now, what has been the biggest change you've seen in yourself through all these years?
A change in myself? I think I'm more easygoing than when I started. Had to adapt to things. Okay. Because things have changed through the years.
Yeah, and I guess we can pull that question as well. What have you seen change from when you first started to now from your environment? The students and everybody.
Well, for me, coming back to to high school level education, I'd been out of it for 9 years. I was at elementary level. So for me, just the ability that the cell phones had over the course of the 9 years, the advancement in what a cell phone could do, I think has greatly impacted education. And I think that everybody has one, so I think for educators, that does become a challenge, because you have all the technology that the students have, and yet you're trying to reach them, and sometimes I think it creates distractions for the students. Overall, how much the technology seems to be influencing all of education. So I think so much of your curriculum in the past recent years has become, the curriculum itself is embedded within technology, where so many years ago when I started, that wasn't the case at all.
At Cranston East, just a few weeks ago, it was a birthday celebration for the ages, and
yeah,
it was all for you. Did you know about any of that?
I had no idea. I had no idea at all. No clue.
For listeners at home, there were temporary tattoos, fedoras being handed out, anything and everything to celebrate your birthday. What was your thoughts seeing that around the school, seeing all the assistant principal De Palma tattoos? I know Tim was wearing 2 of them.
I was totally flabbergasted. Because, at my young age of 35 in my dreams, you kind of want to forget your birthday. And that morning, I happened to be just running a little bit late. And I got a call from Miss Ferry to get to the main office. I'm like, oh, there's an issue. And so I picked up the call and I was like, yes, what's up? I was trying to organize myself. And so Miss Ferry said, I'm going to be right down. I said, oh, okay. So I continued organizing to get ready to go to my post, but Miss Ferry didn't come down. And I always go through the main office on my way to my post in the gym foyer. And then there was Miss Blaze with a hat with a Hawaiian floral wreath. Everybody's dressed up in Hawaiian shirts. And they're saying happy birthday. It totally blew my mind because I wasn't expecting it. I was not thinking about my birthday. My birthday was actually that Sunday. But it was such a nice surprise. I felt like a rock star. I really did. I'd never had any experience like that. And then I didn't realize how big it was until the first student came up to me with a tattoo. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, kids are wearing tattoos. Oh my God, faculty had tattoos. I had my sticker, which I still wear. It covers one of my badges. So it was fun. It was just a nice, fun day, and it followed in with Teacher Appreciation Week. And Mrs. Daly had planned a luncheon for all the teachers, so I got to have a great lunch. Miss Blaze got a birthday cake. It even had my picture on it. It was amazing. It was just amazing. It was the funnest birthday I ever had. And I've had a lot of them. I hope to have a lot more of them.
So, do you have a favorite Hawaiian shirt that you like to brandish?
Well, I think mine would be the green and white one. It's comfortable. It's got the school colors. Yeah.
Right.
I like that one. And then I have another one that's more floral and more bright. And the first time I wore it, my wife looks at me and she says, we're in Spain, and she says, you look like a tourist. And I said, yeah. Well, I am a tourist. So I like that other one too. I don't know if I still have it. I haven't seen it in my closet. But lately it's definitely the green and white, showing Bolt's pride.
And what's the difference that you've seen with Cranston East compared to any of your other ventures as just a school community?
Well, that's a really good question. Well, elementary school, of course, the first thing you're going to notice is that the kids they're kids, young children, because you're at elementary level. But the first time that I went there, within Mr. De Palma's engaged right now in an interview.
De Palma answering his.
I'm in the library closet here, being interviewed by Tim Terrific and
Charles Adams.
Charles Adams. Thanks. So, I never forgot the first time when I got to elementary level and the students walked in. I was just coming out of high school, and within the young student at elementary level, I could see the growing high schooler. You know, I could kind of picture that going into the future. And then just last week, a student introduced herself to me because I didn't realize she was coming here because she's changed so much. She's now in the 12th grade. And I remember her instantly when she introduced herself as the third grader. And I just flashed all the way back to her, but I recognized it right when I saw her. So, I mean, that's a huge difference for me, being at the high school level as opposed to the elementary level. But I still try to be, you know, in any level, just caring and nurturing and listening. You know, and patient. That for me is so important. We're professionals, and always try to be that all the time.
So, a lot of times at Cranston Stadium when we're broadcasting different sporting events, and there's Mr. Sparks up there running the scoreboard usually, sometimes you'll stop in and have some conversations with Sparks. And what other sports do you follow, and how much do you really agree with Sparks' takes on a lot of sports topics?
Well, I think Mr. Sparks has a really good take on sports topics. He's very sporting. You know, he keeps it short and sweet. I used to follow baseball when I was a kid, so that was it. It was baseball, baseball, baseball. So this is in the 70s. Of course, basketball existed. I just didn't know what it was. And then one day my neighbor put up a hoop in his yard, and I remember looking out the window, looking at it and saying, what is that? What is he doing? What is going on over there? And I went outside and started playing, and then we just never stopped. And that's all I did from 6th grade to 12th grade. Every day, every season, every single day. We'd be out there in the winter time. The ball would be frozen. We'd have shoveled off the driveway, and we'd be having these great 2-on-2 games. Now, Mr. Sparks grew up in the Philadelphia area, so he's a big Phillies fan. I'm a big Yankees fan. Sports was important to me. It really, really was. I loved the classroom in high school, but I think sports takes you to another level that the classroom couldn't take you to. You know, that physical level, that competitive level. And I remember when I played sports, the seasons were so much longer. You would go through a 6-week conditioning period of running and all kinds of calisthenic drills. And the drills were intense, and that kind of pushing yourself, I think, is important in life, where you kind of learn to physically do that, and I think it follows off into other areas. In terms of the variety of sports that we have here, honestly, I really don't know much about lacrosse, for example, or field hockey. I don't know the rules of the game, so those are areas that I think Mr. Sparks understands those things, and I don't. I don't even know much about football because I never played that sport. I don't know the ins and outs of what every position, what the person at the position is supposed to do. So, I know about basketball and I know about baseball, And when I watch, for example, the baseball game yesterday, it's fun to me to see it, to see the pitching battles and what would you do in this spot right here? And it brings back memories. We tried a suicide squeeze last night. Mm-hmm. And I said to the person next to me, I said, "Oh, Billy Martin in the Yankees, he'd run the best suicide squeeze, and it's almost a foolproof play if it's run right, and the bunt goes down right. Those are two ifs. But if the bunt goes down right, there's no way you're gonna get that guy coming in from third if he makes a break right when the pitcher lifts his leg."
So in that game yesterday, you saw Devine. He was pitching great through 6.
Pitched awesome.
And then that 7th inning, if you could go back, do you think they would have been better off keeping him in and trying to help him, let him fight through that for those final 2 outs?
I don't know. I mean, I think as a fan, we always want to kind of think, well, what would have happened in different situations?
Yep.
I think ultimately it's got to be the manager's decision, and you can't defer to the player. And the case that I think about so much, especially as a Yankee fan, was when Grady Little and the Yankees are playing the Sox, and Pedro's on the ropes. The Yankees have him on the ropes, and Grady Little was the manager, and he went out and asked Pedro to, I think something to the effect, do you have anything left? I mean, do you have anything in the tank? I think was how we put it. And Pedro answered yes, because, we probably felt that he did, and he has confidence in himself. He was a great pitcher. But the thing is, you're facing great players, and once your speed goes down a little bit in that case, in that game, I think that's what happened to Pedro, or maybe the ball isn't moving the way it should. And they lost the game. I mean, Aaron Boone ended up hitting a home run.
Yep.
And that was a famous moment. For me, I was ecstatic about it. But as a Red Sox fan, I mean, I think it was crushing to them to lose that game. So, I think our pitcher pitched a great game. He threw everything that he had. So you gotta tip your hat to him for doing that. And a lot of the high school players, they fight through so many things, and it's great, to see that emotion out there. I remember back at a game years ago when I was at Cranston West, and the West baseball team was at McCoy Field, and the pitcher on the West team, I forgot who it was, but he was, depending on how you look at it, you could say, oh, he was struggling. For me, he was battling, and he kept going. He was going in and out of trouble. He'd get in trouble. He'd get out of it. He'd get in some trouble. Maybe they'd nick him for a run or two. But you could see that kid on that field was battling. And I think the pitcher last night, he battled out. He tried to battle through that inning, and you got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, I think ultimately, with Cranston East falling 4-3 to North Kingstown, it came down to stranding 12 runners on base. When it was all said and done, it started off with back-to-back innings, leaving the bases loaded without scoring a run, and now they've moved to the losers bracket to face Coventry tonight when we're recording this on Wednesday, May 29th.
But isn't it Hendricken tonight?
I believe Hendricken won versus Coventry, so they'll face North Kingstown today. And then the loser of that game will face the winner of Cranston East Coventry. So it's likely that we'll see a rematch between North Kingstown and Cranston East for the 4th time if North Kingstown loses and Cranston East wins. We could probably see that happen for a 4th time this season. But I want to talk about the softball team, which is still riding high, still undefeated, and they have a playoff game today versus Tiverton. What have you been able to get out to any softball games and seen just the undefeated team with Isabella Sousa?
I have been to some of the softball games, and yeah, they they play really, really great. You know, great defense, great pitching, timely hitting. And every time I go to the game, I always see two special people, Mr. Barbieri and Mr. Lestrange. Yeah.
So, I mean, we're running to the hour 20 mark right now, so maybe just one or two more questions from you. Maybe just a little bit of a lighthearted thing. I think last year you were doing a little bit in the student-faculty game
Yeah.
as a player. So, let's say you were in your prime, and if you had to 1v1 a faculty member here in a game of 21, which teacher would you select?
So you want to know who I would want to play against in a game, in a one-on-one game to 21?
Yep. In your prime.
Mr. Rico. Mr. Rico. Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Rico is awesome. And he's still in his prime,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, he was popping out.
And yeah, I didn't play this year because of my knee.
Ooh,
I didn't want to push it.
that's
I'm out of
fair.
shape. But Mr. Rico's still in good shape. And he can still run. He's got the moves. Nice shot. But yeah, me in my prime against Mr. Rico now, I got a decent fighting chance. But I think me in my prime against Mr. Rico in his prime, I'm not a gambler, but I'd put my money on Mr. Rico.
All right.
But Mr. Masterson, he's a battler too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he had a chipped tooth this year.
Chipped tooth, hurt knee. And then last year, I remember Mrs. Edwards. Remember Mrs. Edwards, the phys ed teacher? She was awesome.
Yeah.
She was awesome in the game. Yeah. I miss her.
Those were good times, and
And I think I have to pat the teachers on the back. I think we've managed to win 2 games
yeah.
against the young student body. I couldn't believe last year playing how aggressive the student body was in the game. I'm like, oh my God, they're actually running at us. Very surprising
I think
here.
when
They
you
were very serious.
Yeah.
There lots of bolts pried on the line, but you know, the wise and the aged were able to take the victory.
I think when you realize that the faculty are much more prepared than you thought of, I think that's the time when you start actually giving a heck.
I was very disappointed in my fellow Thunderbolts both days that we fell to the teachers. I couldn't believe it.
I gotta say, I remember though warming up last year, and it's like, oh my God, can I hit a layup? My shots are like 3 feet from the rim, and it's sad because all of that was just like easy peasy. When I was your age, when you're doing that every single day, you just take it for granted, and you think it's going to be like riding a bike. You'll just go back out there and hit shots, and nope. It wasn't.
All right. Well, I guess the last question. I mean, we've had a little bit of problems here. Sometimes we're not always the perfect school. I mean, there's some battles and whatnot with between students and students. Whatnot. Would you support like a wolf? Patrolling the halls of Cranston East, taking down any sort of violence or feud between anybody?
Well, that's a really good question, Tim. It's a really good question. I think that in terms of school safety, I don't know per se about a wolf per se, because they are a little wild.
Yeah. Maybe a canine?
Canine, perhaps. I think it could be an effective measure. The canine. Students would love the canine, and the canine. If there is a dangerous intruder coming in, watch out for the canine.
Yep.
But I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Maybe me and Chaz can help. At
the
City
alumni.
Hall. Yeah, where the alumni class gift. An extra class gift.
Oh, that's so funny.
All right.
What would the name of the K9 be? Let's see. We'll give two different names. If it was a K9 male, what would the name of our class gift be?
Can canines be bulldogs? We could have a. We
He's
just
probably
have
not
a.
doing the best job.
We could have a Benny the Bull. A bulldog.
Benny the Bull. I love it.
That does
Benny.
Yep.
Bulldog. Alright.
Female.
All right, you're gonna have to name the female.
Oh, I'm on the spot here.
Oh yeah, he's on the spot.
Jeez. I mean, you could put it in honor of a teacher. I don't know. It'd be an interesting decision. There's a lot of options out there. But just maybe put it in honor of the superintendent, Miss Nona Massey.
Nona Massey.
Interesting choice. Very interesting choice.
Very interesting. Well, hour 25 in. Thank you, Mr. Palmer, and me personally. I'd like to thank you very much for everything you've done for TSM. For me, for Chaz. Everything. From the students to the faculty. Just a personal note. I remember beginning of my junior year when I was beginning to, do some of the broadcasts, and you were there for a good amount of the events, and you and me, always were able to see each other a little bit, and and then soon enough you were able to remember me by name, and I just want to say how thankful I am, for your presence and your, work here as a administrator. It really means a lot to me, and it really helps me when I reminisce about East as a school that really actually cared about you. So thank you so much.
Well, you are, Tim, terrific, and we appreciate you. So thank you for everything. It's been nice. I mean, you guys are our biggest fans right here. You really are.
Yeah, administration's been very supportive of TSM and you as well.
Well, we should be, because I mean, it's a huge part of this society. It really is. Everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people love watching sports, and the sportscasters make that come alive. I loved sportscasters when I was a kid. The famous one for me was Howard Cosell, and they make the games really memorable, and the moments they intensify them. Look at, like, recently Bill Walton passed away. He's so remembered for his sportscasting. So, it's a creative, imaginative program that we have, and it gives guys like you and your fellow students an opportunity to go into what could be a very rewarding career. And, it's a good experience and learning moment for you if communications could be something you pursue, and if it is, great, and if it isn't, great. Is as long as it's been a nice avenue for you as students, we're happy to support that.
Well, thank you again for joining us.
You're welcome.
It's been a great episode, and it's not over. Mr. Simone will be our final guest here in our finale. He's up next. Stick around for that.
He's a pro. I love hearing him at the games. He is a pro, and I would always tell him, like, think about those football games. I know you guys are trying to get rid of me.
No.
My dad, my nickname when I was a kid was Mouth. But think about the football games, going to those football games, and what makes those games for me so much more interesting is Mr. Simone making those calls. I mean, he knows all the players. He described every play to a T. And it was just great hearing him. I mean, you go there and watch the game, and you feel that you're at a professional event.
Yeah, he's definitely a great mind in the booth, and I've often been next to him when he tells me exactly what's going to happen and why this play won't work and what he would do differently. It's also very interesting, and he definitely adds to the atmosphere at Cranston East on the PA system.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, have a nice afternoon.
Well, it's been great. That's Mr. De Palma. Up next, Mr. Simone. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Thunderbolt Sports Talk, where we are back live. A little bit after we were sitting down with Mr. De Palma, a couple days, plenty of time has passed, but we're here with our final guest, Mr. Simone, now the record-setting podcast guest after Miles Darconti tied you earlier in the episode. You're back in front with 3 guest appearances here on Thunderbolt Sports Talk.
Well, if the good Lord takes me today, I can now go knowing that I have achieved my ultimate life goal.
Well, we are happy to have you here on the final episode. Our advisor for Thunderbolt Sports Media and founder of Thunderbolt Sports Media, Tim. It's been a while since we last chatted. Plenty has gone on in the sports world as well.
Yeah.
What are you thinking right now?
Yeah, so how about that curse, Mr. Simone? How's that?
Well, I think it's close to being lifted, thanks to all of our spring sports teams that they advanced in the playoffs, and in the case of softball, finished the deal undefeated only 2 years after going 0 for the entire year and having lots of Yoshi on their Instagram posts. They were dominant from start to finish, and I think that they single-handedly could be responsible for lifting the curse. And then boys volleyball in the state semifinals tomorrow night against LaSalle, put together a really unexpected season and overcame the Tim Yeen jinx of the early season. And then, it was a little shaky upon your return when they immediately went down to North Kingstown. We gave you a little bit of a break on that because it is North Kingstown. Boys tennis team, I'd say North Smithfield might have more of the curse on them than you're responsible for. So, baseball probably went as far as realistically they could. Bitter loss in the first game, but I don't believe you were in the ballpark for that 7th inning meltdown.
You're lucky I didn't attend any softball events this season. So
I think the team is more thankful than we are. But, I would say that when you leave here, you no longer have cursed the building. Now, let's see how the fall goes before we start, setting off any confetti and popping some bottles.
Yeah, maybe these spring teams are knowing that you are now you're officially no longer a Thunderbolt. Or no, maybe it's when you graduate.
Technicality, I'm still a Thunderbolt.
Well, your last days as a student are over, and they were just gearing up for that all-spring season. And volleyball's game was going to be a good test for you, as we saw what Cranston East was able to do against LaSalle. The first time they faced us when you were there, and then they faced us when I was there, and it was the easiest sweep of the season. I mean, they just breezed through it. Way easier than any of the other games that we saw, really, against these top teams.
Well,
Hendricken gave them bigger problems, and now you're back. I'm here, and we're going to see.
I'm just saying, in my defense, it's beginning of the season LaSalle versus middle of the season LaSalle. I mean, obviously, things change over time, Chaz. We all change over time.
Oh, by the way, Tim, where are you going to be tomorrow night for that match?
I will be at Rhode Island College.
And doing what?
Public address announcing.
Okay, so the aura of Tim Yeen will be in the building.
Oh, boy. That might not be good news.
You'll be your future voice of the anchorman.
Yes, incoming Rhode Island College student. Incoming University of Rhode Island Ram, and Mr. Simone.
Getting ready to go out to pasture at some point soon.
Yeah.
Well, Thunderbolt Sports Media under this current regime has grown and grown, and I
would call it leadership.
What's wrong with regime?
Regime's a little bit,
Authoritarian.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, it's grown and grown, and this month is maybe our biggest month ever with 10,000 impressions on our Instagram page this month. So, how have you seen Thunderbolt Sports Media grow over the 5 years, and the switch between reigns, and how it's just taken it to the next level?
Well, I mean, when we first started, we were just trying to get more student involvement in the presentation of games. So that was the first goal, really, with the first regime, and that kind of focused around Mo Holtzman and giving him his opportunities to do as much play-by-play broadcasting before he graduated. And even in spite of COVID happening, we were still able to do that during the second part of the 2021 school year because, excuse me, the fog of pollen outside is now affecting us all. But since we were the only way that anybody could watch the games because no fans were allowed in the building, Mo became the voice not only of Cranston East, but the Prout School also brought him down. And he got great exposure doing that. And I know he's off at Syracuse heading into his senior year doing his thing. But I would say that it's really stepped to the next level under you two guys. And not just with the social media presence, but just the creativity, the deeper involvement, and really having some great ideas on how to expand not just our brand, but more and more ways to provide attention for our teams, and especially this spring with the success that they've had. I think that you guys have done an amazing job of finding ways to celebrate their achievement. So, there was a lot of times where if you guys had ideas and as long as they weren't going to get us into trouble, then we went with it. And you guys have done a fantastic job building on what, that original group had started.
Well, I've always warned people around me that once Cranston East starts winning, you'll see what Thunderbolt Sports Media is really capable of. And we're not just limited to Yoshi this spring. We actually have some winning teams, some championship winning teams, and maybe one coming down the line.
Yeah, now we've transformed from Yoshi's to AI-generated content, which, people really love. Especially Coach Diggs, Coach McHale, Coach Bucci, everyone on that conference stage.
You got Coach Bucci's take on that video?
I did not.
I'm sure he saw it.
I mean, I'm not, like I said many times before, I'm not the most involved in the stickball athletics, so, it's pretty hard to get into contact with any of the coaches as much as they're available. More mainly due to my part being an inactive inactive person. So
All right. Well, Tim, we know you're a Diamondbacks fan. How are you feeling about the Snakes here heading into the June months?
Let me take some time to ponder here.
Oh, I also have another question. Will you continue to root for the Arizona Diamondbacks?
As long as you keep getting asked about it,
Well, I think I have made that happen, though, because on Saturday I took a ride down to Citi Field, mostly for the jersey number retirement ceremony for my favorite player growing up, Darryl Strawberry. But after that, unfortunately for the Mets, there was a baseball game after that, and they started playing baseball against your Arizona Diamondbacks. And when I had enough at the end of the seventh inning, the Mets were down 10-1 to your Diamondbacks.
Wow.
So, and my guest for the game was the sports information director from Rhode Island College, who was always looking for qualified workers to do things in a variety of sports media and broadcasting. And I did tell him about the need for your continued steps to success in learning about ball and stick games, because your review of the games would be that the Diamondbacks played baseball well with their baseball equipment, and they did what they needed to do, and they Diamondbacked to the best of their ability.
They did their job. You can't complain about that. I mean, as long as you're playing baseball, as long as you're winning, you got to be doing something right. I mean, they are 28-32 for a reason, which is not the greatest of records, but certainly better than
the Mets.
Yeah, the Mets.
Well, we've thought about introducing you, Mr. Simone, to the walkout theme of Edwin Diaz, but that wouldn't be much of a fun idea, especially at this point in the season. Are they even using his walkout theme for him coming out in the 7th?
He's on the injured list, so he's not getting anything right now. And I think they still did the trumpets, but it's not the same when he's coming out in a non-pressure situation. Obviously, that knee injury he had last year when celebrating during the World Baseball Classic
that's why.
has kind of taken its toll. But now he's on the injured list with a, quote, shoulder impingement, which I think medically translated means they need to do a head check on him because he's totally in his own head right now. So the trumpets are resting, and hopefully we'll see them again before the end of the year. But with the Mets, it's not going to make a difference.
Well, we haven't had you on the program in quite a while. So what's your opinion here on the Patriots following a great draft and maybe a new era after the Mac Jones era didn't go our way?
I think they may not be much better record-wise, but I think at least there's hope. There's hope that a new approach might modernize and eventually lead to success. There's hope because Drake May is in the pipeline. There's hope that, this regime may – sorry, can I use regime in this case?
I guess so.
Okay. That this regime may finally prioritize athleticism, speed, and be able to actually evaluate and pick guys who can actually play football. But I do think from a record standpoint, this could be, and seeing the schedule, this could be a rough one in terms of wins and losses.
Well, I mean, okay. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe I should just not be on my phone like a screen age all the time. So, But I believe that what you said, Mr. Salone. I agree with.
You have no idea what I just said, do you?
Something about speed and athleticism, and
that was towards
hopefully
the end of what I said.
And hope in this new regime that you're talking about. I think the expectation is, like you said, we're not gonna be winning too much, but at least there's gonna be hope. And if Drake May starts sometime this season, because Jacoby Brissett is either injured or just playing horrifically, and he shows off some highlight reel plays, I think that's some good hope for the future. And if those highlights are way better than Mac Jones's, we're setting a pretty good foundation.
And I will say, as much as I know we kind of dump on Mac Jones now, I think that the 2 years of the Matt Patricia, Joe Judge, and then Bill Belichick not really prioritizing offensive weapons for him, I think they ruined him. Yeah. And not to say that he was going to be anything along the lines of what they need to compete with, say, Mahomes or Burrow, but, we saw that he could look competent his rookie year under real NFL coaching.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels coaching.
As long as Josh McDaniels isn't a head coach, he can coach offense and quarterbacks, but they wrecked Mac Jones.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you're throwing to guys like whittling out Devontae Parker, N'Keal Harry back in his rookie year, pretty good. Wide out Jacoby Myers, but not like that wide receiver one type guy you're looking for.
But a solid guy, and let's not keep him around. Let's let him walk.
Yeah.
So I don't think they did him any favors, but like I said, it was worth taking a shot now with a prospect that does have tremendous upside, because you're going to need somebody to go, if not go toe to toe with Mahomes and Burrow, and Josh Allen has turned into the great, just terrorizes the Patriots over the last 5 years. You need somebody who can make exceptional plays. And I don't know if Jones is ever going to be that, but he could have been good enough to have reasonable amount of success, but they just destroyed him.
Mm-hmm. Our previous guest on the program, Mr. De Palma, had some high praise for you in the episode that I'm sure you'll get to hear later on. But De Palma, the new administration, how has that shifted the focus and attention on sports in Cranston East?
I'd say there's definitely there's by far more administrator involvement. You see them at the games all the time. Multiple administrators. They're definitely aware of what's going on with our teams, good or bad, at a much higher level. Their enthusiasm is is definitely, it's not just on social media. It's, they talk about it in their daily walks and conversations with you guys, with teachers. So I think their passion is, and the fact that they are paying attention, unlike when Tim's on his phone, is, it's refreshing. It definitely is refreshing.
And
It was uncalled for.
At least you were paying attention.
Yeah, phone's in my pocket. I'm not trying to make this environment similar to the regular classroom environment, Mr. Simone. So I deeply apologize for that. So.
If it was the regular environment of my classroom, then your phones would be out all the time.
So, any more questions, Chaz? It's 8:15.
Yeah, we do have kind of a hard out here in the final segment of the program. Tim Yeen's phone going off during the program. You're not making a good case for yourself here.
Yeah, you're locked in, Tim.
You're only as good as your last moments here.
Okay.
Well, I think we've had some good conversations here, having some Mr. Simone on to conclude our final episode of Thunderbolt Sports Talk. So, any other questions or comments here before we wrap things up on episode 15 of season 2?
I just want to say, Mr. Simone, despite our philosophical differences in terms of sports and athletics on the professional level, you have really been a great mentor, a great leader, and a truly great friend to me. Ever since from the start, where that soccer game back during COVID, that basketball game versus Central, that was the first game I was ever on the mic, and Mo Holtzman asked me about the hard press, which I had absolutely no idea about, and I have some idea about. So from start to end, Mr. Simone, you have really changed my life for much better, and I'm sure Charlie has some of those similar comments as well, and we are both very grateful.
Well, I am the lead writer of Thunderbolt Sports Media. I usually do my work in pen and ink, so I'll keep it to the pen and paper. But I'd just like to thank today's guests. We had Mr. Smith, Miss Blaze, Eston Fowler, Miles Darconti, of course. How could I forget?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Esports
Mr. De Palma, and finally Mr. Simone to end it off.
Well, before we go, I would like to echo what Tim said, but in reverse, because now, Tim, you in particular, I remember meeting you the first day, and we had already exchanged a bunch of emails at that point. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but on that day, I went home and told my wife, I said that my mission over the next 4 years was to get written Tim's personality to match in-person Tim, and to get them to be the same person. And I think that mission has, as you've gotten more comfortable, I mean, you entered under some really difficult circumstances. So not knowing anybody, coming in, we're all masked. There were 2 people in a class for your entire freshman year. And then now becoming, the person who bleeds green the most in this entire building. Is an absolutely, the green is almost on the external side now, which, really reveals who I know you're rooting for in the NBA Finals. So seeing that has been one of the most enjoyable things of, forget about my career and professional, just life. And getting to work with you guys the last couple of years has been, I don't mind saying this, by far my favorite part of my job, coming in every day. And although we're not going to be doing this per se anymore, I can't tell you how much the podcast group chat will have to live in eternity, because that has stopped me in my tracks and just had me cracking up. And I've gotten a lot of weird looks in life when I'm reading this and then trying to explain it to them. But it really has been my honor to work with you guys. And, I'm looking forward to seeing what you're doing. You're both going to be relatively close, so I know it's not goodbye in any case. It's just we're moving on to the next, and what do you say, taking our steps to success?
Steps to success.
Yep. One of us going to be closer to home at URI, and one of us closer to work at Rick. Yeah. And, thank you to Mrs. Blaze for allowing us library space to record the majority of this episode, and Mr. LaBanca for giving us space for the intro and the final segment of this show and every other episode that we've recorded up to this point, besides the season 1 finale, which was a doozy with your mic audio not working. That's all right. Thank you to the Rhode Island media members that we've been able to meet. Chris Craig for the Popeyes. Popeyes? Yeah.
KFC.
At
which you have
the Mika
supposedly
Mutual
never ate
Pavilion.
before.
I had one nugget. Does it
Did it
take
taste good
away?
at least? Did it taste good at least?
I mean, I guess I did it I just did it to be nice, you know?
Unless you've had a piece of KFC on the bone, you're still non-tainted by KFC.
All right, so I'm in the clear on that. You know, we've been able to meet Eric Rube, a lot of Bill Koch, all the Providence
Right.
Journal guys.
Thank you, Eric Rubin and Sam Knox, for signing my yearbook.
Oh, wow. You're collecting those at tennis.
Yeah. Yeah, biggest lesson, don't root for the teams, root for yourself.
Yep.
And also, remember, we do not care who wins. We do not care who loses. We only care that there is no overtime. Also, the logic of one Eric Rube and Bill Koch combined on that golden nugget of wisdom.
There's also the Rhode Island Interscholastic League members that have provided us opportunities, Fans Only Sports Network, the NFHS Network, and Don Boyle and everyone giving us chances. Tim Yeen for dealing with my hater activity, my family, and my teachers. That ends my list of thank yous here at the final episode of Thunderbolt Sports Talk.
All right. Thank you to Mr. Simone. Everything you just said to everyone else,
There you go.
except for my family and your family too.
Wait, what?
Being such great people. Admin, my teachers, my family in Cambodia. Yeah, I guess that's it.
All right. Well, Tim, you can sign us off here one final time for Thunderbolt Sports Talk. Just over an hour and 50 minutes, our longest episode. That counts as an episode. Our longest audio-only episode. Tim, sign us off.
4 more days.